already know, but it's our early morning here, Friday. So let's get this rolling. So I'm Renata, the founder of Reconnect, and I'm super happy to have all of you with us here today. So Reconnect is a community of high performers who come together through movement, growth, and learning. And these fireside chats are one of the ways that we have to share stories that inspire, challenge, and connect us in between our live experiences. So we do some live experiences around Europe, around hiking, gravel, and skiing. And in between those opportunities that we have to meet each other live, we keep connected online with the fireside chats. So today I have here with us somebody that actually I had a little script for you, Chris, but I'm already going out of the script here because Chris has been with Reconnect from day one. I would say day zero, right? When it was not even I didn't even have the name yet. I was already talking to him and discussing a few things, a few ideas, right? So Chris has been Chris is a stress scientist coach, and he works with high performance people. Reason why as well we connected in terms of sharing more what I was doing with Reconnect. I wanted to pick his brain about the people that he works with, right? And understand where, we could help them with a community like Reconnect. So Chris has been with us from the fireside chat number one. So Chris, when Reconnect is huge, we are with 3,000. You can say I was the fireside chat one.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll put it on my resume.
Yeah, put it on your resume because that's really cool. So, team, welcome Chris here. Chris, he blends neuroscience, psychology, and practical tools to help high performance people, just like yourselves here, to understand and master stress. And Chris, I'm not gonna talk more. I think you have the microphone now. Just go for it, and let's do this. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. The first step is to wake up early in the morning on a Friday or stay until late in Australia to listen to us. So thank you.
Thanks, Renata. Yes, when Renata and Matteo first, and then Renata was, Chris, I've got this idea. And I was like, I'm in. But let me tell you my idea. No, I'm in. I like it. Mountains, people, connection, amazing. So it's been an absolute journey and a joy to come and serve virtually, but then of course Andorra and in future. So this is our last one for this year, last one for me for this year. So this is number 4 for a series that we've been breadcrumbing, if you like. If you're just dropping in, though, absolutely perfect. It's the perfect time to come in today. Chris Wilson, I'm the founder of Stress Science. Really, my background is exercise physiology, so I would look at stress and immune markers in elite athletes and military. And what we wanted to look at was, can we push the athlete harder, or do we allow that athlete to go into a forced recovery or an active recovery? So then the physiology would give us those early warning indicators to say, okay, this athlete started to overreach. Of course, if I ask the athlete, they're about, no, put me on, coach, I'm perfect, I'm good, I'm fine. And that really lent itself to this conversation around, well, what happens? Okay, so we're not elite athletes. We're just doing our everyday thing. I'm not going to say normal because it's a bit boring, but for us, we're just doing our thing, right? How does it get to the point where we ignore the signs and we start to overreach? And then how does that show up for us? What's the impact for us when it comes to the arenas of life? When it comes to my work and my financial decisions and my relationships? Far too often I would get called in for my coaching program. I get called in too late. We've got a problem. Chris has got a problem. And then when we start to have a conversation with Chris, we realize that he's been going down that rabbit hole for far too long. So to have these conversations early and to get in amongst these networks is powerful for me. It allows me to come in and to maybe raise your self-awareness, sometimes raise your health literacy, so you become more aware of what might be showing up for you at what time. The difference with today's session is that this one, in its true nature of a fireside chat, is we've gone into the community. So we've had multiple contacts. We've gone into the community and say, hey, these are the top 10 conversations that I'm having in the background. Which one would you like to discuss? And I'll just share with you, I had a very unhealthy relationship with that poll. I was constantly in there trying to go, oh my God, they've picked number 7. Oh, okay, they've got number 3. Hang on a minute, number 8's catching up. And I had this little journey going on as the numbers were coming in. So we picked 2 of them that we're going to cover today. Now, when it comes to these subjects, is that there's a few important pieces. One is I use the trad climber, the image. It's actually a prompt or an anchor for me. I would often look at this image and remind myself that when we're at the bottom of the climb, we are at our most heaviest. I've got all my safety gear. I'm trying to protect myself. There's a bit of ambiguity before I start my climb. And then, of course, the most dangerous part of my climbing and trad climbing is the distance between the first piece of safety and the second piece of safety. That's where I am at my most vulnerable. And normally where I overreach, I grip too hard, my breathing rate increases, I might get into a bit of an anxious state. So I just use the image of a trad climber. Because in sport climbing, if you've ever done it, someone's already laid the path for me. I can see the route. All I got to do is get to the next piece of kit and clip in. Trad climbing, I'm carrying everything with me as we go. When it comes to my work, stress science, and we've got a group of beautiful people in a room like this, you're all at different stages. I have to keep reminding myself of that also, that I've got no indicator right now where you are or where you're going. We have done a body of work called the arenas, which is powerful, and we'll talk to that a little bit today. But for most of us, our journey is ever moving. So webinars and delivery is one part, again, to get the message across, but coaching or group coaching, something along those lines, is the powerful piece where we can do that behavioral shift. I lean on this because I used to work in cardiac rehab, and I used to work in clinical environments where I would listen to the doctors and listen to this, and this was something that kept coming up for me. Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So when we talk about the tasks you can do today, or the things we'd like you to take away, please pick up and put down whatever works for you in this moment. Now, having said that, I've shown this image. I think it's almost in every webinar, every slide, every presentation, sorry. And it's purposely complex on the right. I'm not going to walk through this image. It's just a snapshot for us. But what we've got is the different parts of the brain and then the interaction between the brain and the body. And I understand that because of my learnings and because of the piece of paper and maybe because of the association I'm a part of, you can only talk to this part. But for us in this webinar today, we can't separate them. The mental impacts the physical impacts the mental. And then we've got this beautiful piece of kit up in the brain, up in the skull, sorry, called the brain. And we talk about how does it interact? How does it understand? And then how does it interpret? So on the left-hand side, you can see that we've got the HAF, the hippocampus, amygdala, thalamus, and hypothalamus. In my world, I measure the relationship between the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the adrenals. So there's the 3 bits that I look at, the HPA axis. But what we can see is the roles inside that limbic brain. It's that old brain. If you're getting flashbacks to high school, I can only apologize. I'm not trying to sound like your teacher, but we've got this old part of the brain. And that's all mammals have got this part. It understands my environment. It gives me my hunger, my sleep patterns, my day or circadian rhythm, if you like. It regulates all of the essential functions in the body. Great. And you can see the amygdala. The amygdala, one of its roles is to interpret events. Perfect. I'm cautious with the word however, but we've also got a second part of the brain, which is beautiful. And this newer part of the brain, if you were to look at Keller's work, he would talk about older brother and younger brother. But this younger brother, this newer part of the brain, we've got this executive prefrontal cortex, logical interpretations. And actually, they have a bit of an argument because we are the only mammals on the planet that worry about mortgages, that are probably concerned about climate change, these big world events that cause us stress and anxiety. And that is a layering which I don't think we appreciate sometimes, is the complexity and the beauty of what we've got inside of our brain, inside of our skull, sorry, also leads us down this path of excessive anxiety into depressions, high stress or chronic stress loads. So as we go through today's conversation, just keep that in mind. We've got a little bit of a conflict between the need to understand our environments and then that logical brain which can interpret and then predict. It's why we future think. It's why we ruminate and worry about the shoulda, coulda, woulda. Oh, I said that. What if? We've got all this beautiful brain matter that we use. And in my world, we talk about how much energy we expend. How much resource are we spending on that future pacing? Very important, by the way, future pacing. And what's our relationship with that future pacing? And then we talk about that ruminating. How are we interpreting the events from that past experience? Again, very important. Not saying we shouldn't do it. Absolutely vital for us. It's the relationship we have with those two time points. Okay, I'll stop there. This is a fireside chat. What I'm going to ask to do is I'm going to do a little bit of speaking. Can do the little raising the hand. You can unmute yourself and please come into the room with any questions you have. Of course, the only way it's going to serve you today is by bringing your own experiences or your own curiosity into a room like this. Now, I've showed these before. I had permission to show these. This was a body of work called the Arenas. And the reason why I'm showing them today is when you go through the performance acceleration program, the coaching program I've designed, you'll then start to link some of the work that's coming up today that links directly into Arenas. We can see, what are we doing in the past? What's happened then? What's happening for us in the future, whatever that time point is, and then what's happening for us right now. And you can start to see how, okay, this is what I want in the future. Great. So let's work towards that. And then we need to identify some of the topics that are coming up for us today is what's stopping us from getting there. So again, another beautiful body of work, a very powerful piece to help us formulate what is it? Where do we want to go? What does success look like for us? And in what time frame? Of course, if I look down the right-hand side across my future goals, it wouldn't take long to go, how am I going to make all that happen? That's a significant amount of change that I need to, the behaviors and the acts and the language that I need to unravel inside my brain to be able to make that successful. That is why what we focus on becomes powerful and prevalent in order for us to meet our success goals. Did anyone who hasn't finished that body of work? Emma, I know. Denise, oh no. Mateo, did you do yours? No. Lucinda, have you seen this
I
before?
didn't finish it.
Yeah.
Lucinda, Fabrice, Ivone, and Marcelo are new, so they haven't seen this before. But
Okay,
we can
wonderful.
definitely tell them to
Sorry,
do
I
it.
couldn't
Yeah.
work out how to put my microphone on. No, I haven't. I'm having a quick squeeze now.
Okay, no problem at all. Just for context, it's a piece of work that we've done. We asked everyone to work through this, a rather large body, if I'm honest, over a cup of tea or a hot beverage, and just work your way through the befores, the nows, and the future pacing. Please, though, if you've got any questions, always reach out. Okay, so I kept the numbers on there because it was in the community, Reconnect community, I put in there 1 to 10 subjects. And then we had a poll, a voting system. What would you like to talk about? And then, of course, I've kept the numbers, and there were 2 distinct winners that sort of flew away from all of the other subjects. The first one is about uncertainty or navigating uncertainty and how to handle the ups and downs of mental load of uncertainty. So I've got my Heraclitus little quote. The only constant in life is change. We've heard it so many times, of course. So where does this word and why does it sound so sticky, and how does it make us feel when we talk about this word uncertainty? Something to keep in mind. Humans suffer from uncertainty because our brains are wired in that limbic part of the brain. They are wired to seek predictability and control. I know we like to imagine we're wild and crazy and we fly by the seat of our pants and that makes us feel free, but our brains typically like to have the sense of certainty around us. It helps us interpret and understand the environment. If we have this uncertainty, we're unfamiliar or things aren't going as we predicted they would, it can often come up with a discomfort, a feeling, anxiety. It can often lead to chronic stress loads because our insatiable need to try and control the environments and the things around us. So my question to you is, and I'll give you some space to process it, when does this show up for you? When does this feeling of uncertainty occur? Is it a specific moment? Is it a specific time? Is it a specific environment? If you're happy sharing, of course, only if you're happy sharing, just unmute yourself and share. When does uncertainty show up for you?
I'll kickstart to encourage people to jump
Oh, yeah, I
on.
know. Someone's got to be brave in the first. Come on, you.
I think, Chris, for me, uncertainty happens when, in a practical way, I know I'm going to lose something, like I don't know, a job, for example, just before I was made redundant from my previous job. I knew it was going to happen. I wasn't certain. So I suffered so much before, right? Before the thing, just for the conversations that were happening, I had that feeling that was going to happen. I wasn't certain it was going to happen, right? But I knew inside me that that was going to be the result. I just didn't know when, right? So that period, I think I probably suffered more on the 2 months before than the 2 months after. Because then after I was certain I wasn't working anymore for that
Move on now.
company, right?
Move on.
Off you go.
Now I know.
Go, right? I think that's one way. And the second way, for the purpose of what we do with Reconnect, with the movement and challenging people in some physical activities, example through hiking. Not always I know where I am going. I just am with someone that knows where they are going, but I'm following them. I don't know myself, right? So I see the map, I studied the course. I know we are going to be safe, like that things are going to be fine, but I haven't done that before, right? So I have to go through that, trusting somebody else that is in control, not me. So that's my two examples.
And Renata, if you don't mind, this is not a live coaching session. That's not what we're
No,
doing
that's
here. But
okay. It's good to
I'm just
encourage
curious.
others.
So there's rumors coming out that things are changing inside the business. There's a different feel inside the business. You think it's coming for 2 months. What were your behaviors? How were you acting in that 2 months where you said you suffered more during that 2 months? What sort of behaviors were showing up for you?
It's almost like a anxiety, right? So you feels like anxious. It's almost like a butterfly in your stomach that never settles, right? It's that feeling, that short breath, right? That you have to do something. And I remember the way to overcome this was to go outside and walk. I needed to be outside doing some sort of physical activity, even if it's very light. And I didn't need to hike anything difficult or ride anything hard. I just needed to be outside, right? And
Mm-hmm.
breathe, and the breathing and being outside. And for the benefit of this, Mateo was a huge, always, Renata, go out, go out, go out, because I needed to get out of my head. The other feeling I was having was because I was overthinking, right? I was struggling to sleep. So
Yeah.
I was taking long to sleep, because when I could finally rest, put my head in a pillow, and just everything was dark and silent, and I was able to process things, my brain was just, and was just thinking, Chris, worst case scenarios.
Mm.
I was gonna die.
Yep.
Like I was gonna be under I don't know, I the scenarios that were coming was always the worst,
Yeah.
right? And
Renata, just for clarity, we haven't discussed my session today, have we?
no, not at
Okay,
all.
just checking. Just for the nature of the group.
No, but
Okay,
please, other people, please share, because this is powerful. You have the opportunity here to share with Chris and give you some feedback. So this is very good for you.
so
I
on
This
Lucinda,
is
before
Lucinda. Can you hear me?
Lucinda, before you go, I want to listen carefully. But on that note, Renata, the beautiful thing you're explaining there is when we stagnate and sit still, the movement part is really important for us because we get that motor cortex in the brain and it stimulates. So we get that neural firing in the brain. So when we move, it has that corollary discharge. So it stimulates other parts of the brain. We get endorphins. It can actually help us formalize logical structures in our brain, the way with our patterns of thinking by movement. Wonderful share, by the way. Sorry, Lucinda, I just need to get that out of my brain into the screen. Thank you.
Oh, that's okay. My uncertainty always comes when I have to make big decisions, and it always comes down to me having to make them on my own, like we all do. So I go into almost like a panic or a flat state and think I just can't make a decision because what if it's wrong? I've definitely gotten better at it as I've gotten older, but it's that paralyzing self-doubt.
That's a really powerful statement, isn't it? Paralyzing self-doubt. Yeah.
And it's things like, I remember when I needed to change schools for my son, is that the right decision? Is that not? And then it's the overthinking of what if that stops me from making a decision.
In my world, I would lean towards something similar to loss aversion. So if I've got 4 doors in front of me, if I pick one door, your brain will naturally look at that and go, yes, but I'm losing 3 doors if I commit to the one door. And so those people who've got drive and purpose and vision and clarity, they know that that's the right door. But for most of us, we sit there and go, I don't know. What if that's the wrong school and I swap and then this happens and the teacher's not very nice and then we play out those scenarios and like you say, it can be paralyzing self-doubts. I'm going to quote you on that.
Yes.
Thank you, Lucinda.
No worries.
It's a
Thank you.
really good share. Yeah. Any others? When does uncertainty show up for you?
I guess for me, and relating to what Lucinda just said, in my as part of my job, I have to introduce quite a bit of change in processes, in the environment, and so on. And usually, I'm pretty sure of what I'm doing, of my decision to change. But the uncertainty is what will the impacted people think, how they will take it. And that's when I start to doubt my decision, actually. Even though, at the beginning, it's fairly clear and obvious. I'm like a very blue person, so, analyzing and very logical. But then all that is kind of put in doubt, effectively.
Fabrice, I love it. It's a really great piece of strategy. We've had the meetings with all the decision makers in the room. Right, this is the way the business is going. Great. Fabrice, go and implement the change. And then you go out there, you're facing the people.
Exactly.
You are looking them in the eye when they go, what? But what if? And then their doubt And because if you're empathetic and you can pick up on the signals, their doubt starts to influence your questioning. Actually, are we doing the right thing? And how is it impacting the people that I work next to on a daily basis? I love this bit. So I'm certain because I'm here, but then the influence of others on you can then put you into a, ooh, on paper it looked good, but the real world experience is different. Very powerful piece. I love that. So what do you do about that, Fabrice? How are you navigating that when others are influencing your state?
Usually what I try to do is try to find champions to help, help convince the other one that it's the right thing to do, or even if they think it's not the right thing, they don't really have a choice. So they better take the good side of it and be positive about it and do it. So it's trying to use influence, basically.
Yeah, so get our internal champions that are going to onboard and come along the ride with us. They can message out and communicate and inspire and navigate, for us. Yeah, I like that. But there is also, we know there's a tipping point. Once I get a certain percentage of a team on board, then they all start to realign and come forward again. Okay, I like it. But you have to reassure, right? You have to communicate. You have to show them. You have to reassure them with, this is the plan, this is the strategy, we are doing this because of 1, 2, and 3. You're almost giving them the confidence to know this is the right decision. Otherwise, their brains will tell themselves the story. And actually, that's where we lose a lot of talent. Oh, no one tells us anything, they're changing all the time. And then they start to get into this uncertainty mindset and start to unravel. Okay. Powerful shifts. We've got leadership, decision making, we've got personal, we've got huge shifts, we've got family related. I love it. Any more, by the way? This is great because we're not alone in this thinking.
I just have two things. One related to Fabrice. I think it's not about uncertainty. You know that this is happening, but I get very stressed when I, for instance, would have to fire people. I have done this in my career. People or parts of the organization, or, it's not because they are not performing. It's just cost reduction. And, it's like same physical symptoms of Renata when she was describing on the other side. It's like, stomach ache, is like anxiety. It's not nice at all.
No.
So that's one thing. And the other thing I wanted to ask, what about the stress, the opposite? It's like you are moving to a new job and it looks like, and you want it, and it looks like very exciting that, but okay, you don't know, it's uncertain, but you don't feel like the physical symptoms are not, I don't know if maybe the same organs, but it's like positive. It's not like negative.
I do, right? So we're seeing, if we took the word uncertainty, sometimes it's a shift. And then when we are moving forward, which we do every day, by the way, so we're going to move forward into a new role. We've still got a lot. In fact, that's even worse. I don't really know my colleagues. I don't know my teammates. All I know is that I've looked at the website and been through a series of interviews where we play a part. So actually, you've got a lot of uncertainty around. I'm making this up in my words, but will I fit in, and what will the job be like, and how much pressure? And then we start to put another layer on top of that, which is, am I good enough? Am I the right person? Can I do this? We're going to come on to that a little bit later.
With ourselves sometimes, no?
Yeah, we drive ourselves nuts.
You just confirmed me. I thought it was only me, but you just confirmed.
No, it's not. It's not you. It's not just you, should I say. Remember, this topic come up and it stood out by far. That's why it's number 1 on today. This is by far what most people were thinking in this community. So you are not alone. Even the short stories we got today, we can tell. Oh, you get those feelings too? Oh, okay. I thought it was just me hiding in my spare room or hiding in a dark corner somewhere. not you. Renata, please.
No, 100%. Denise, I was going to say to you, to us all, that I keep reinforcing the power of this group, right? Because when we share these experiences and you see that you're not alone, this also helps you with the uncertainty, because you say, oh, okay, I'm not the only one feeling this. Good. I think the feeling that we have sometimes, that all the disgrace of the world is just happening to us, that all the bad things, all the bad decisions, all the bad is just a personal thing to us, right? When you know that this is not true, this is where is the power, because then we help each other, even for the benefit of you, Fabrice. When you're in that room making that decision, other people are actually looking at you and saying, good on you to make this decision. I would never do that. That's why you are in that position and they aren't, right? So there is a power into that. So that's my bit. Go, Emma.
I was going to say the uncertainty for me actually sometimes comes. We've talked a lot about making big decisions and changes. It comes post. It kind of comes after the decision has been made, and then there's the question from others around me. Are you sure? Is that really what you're going to do? Is that? And then it's kind of the questioning of, oh, maybe I haven't made the right choice, or maybe I should have done something else. So it's kind of like you go through that process. You set on what you're going to do. You've convinced yourself, or you're in a mental place where it's like, yes, I'm going to do this. But then you get questions, and I think it's also from a work perspective, somebody might question the action that you've made that you haven't even thought about. That it's just that's the way that you operate, and it's like, well, why did you do that? Is that and it's kind of having that confidence to stand behind your initial conviction and say, well, I did this because XYZ, or we're doing this because, but it's that kind of self-doubt of, oh, maybe I didn't make the right decision. Maybe I should have thought of something else. Maybe I could have done this project differently, or maybe I shouldn't have done that. So yeah, it's the uncertainty that comes after the action's done or the decision's been made.
So many layers in there, Emma. I do love this. We can go down a little rabbit's hole here. But yeah, absolutely. So the post action, let's call it action, decision if you like, but actions occurred. And then to Fabrice's point, like, we've got this strategy, we've got this piece done. There's lots of layers in there, like who's part of your decision making? How are you coming up with the right thing to do? Like, is it a gut feel? Is it strategy? Are you getting buy-in from other stakeholders that will support you in this moving forward? And then how we're communicating that out. Why are they doubting you? There's a relationship dynamic as well in there, or maybe you like that dynamic. I'm not asking you now. This is not the time or the place, but lots of layers into what forces us to get what we call a post-action. It's dump. It's a horrible word, but the post-action dump is this. But I'm gonna get it. Oh, hang on a minute. And then we get this almost a recoil effect in the brain. Hang on, have we thought about everything? What if? Oh, hang on a minute. Maybe I missed that little document, or maybe I forgot to send that out, and we start to get this little again, to your words, self-doubt coming in. Okay. I am often deemed, especially by my wife, as quite boring, because what tends to happen is we will see that how we express these feelings might be quite unique to us. But actually, when it comes to our uncertainty and our self-doubt and our worries and our anxiety, we actually get a series of physiological and hormonal effects. And so people actually can fall back into that pattern of hormonal distribution. This is how I feel when I make a decision. It's a pattern of behavior versus actually there is now concern or real concern or something going on for you. So the boring part is that it's just a chemical distribution in the body, and we can actually hack it, if you like. We can start to use little tasks to reset ourselves or to anchor ourselves into a more positive state, or at least to give us some assurances when we fall into an uncertain mindset. So I'm going to go through a few tasks. You can write them down. We can discuss them, entirely up to yourself. The first one I like when it comes to uncertainty is an oldie but a goodie. We are talking about Covey circles. I don't use this as a leadership task. I don't know if you've ever done this, but I would typically say post-it notes. I've got colored ones for different arenas in my life. So I would talk about, yes, look at those color. I like it. Of course, if you are worried about the environment or don't want to throw away the bits of paper, please, 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 you can digitize it. You can do whatever works for you. And there are a few rules. I don't like the word, but here we are. There's a few rules when it comes to it. One is you need to give yourself space, because what we want to do on every post-it note is just talking about what's concerning for us right now. We call it an uncertainty dump, a worry dump, whatever you might like to call it, whatever fantastic words. I use this every quarter with teams. So even though the process, it seems like a big leadership thing and we go through it and then we discuss it, actually, I use this as a really quick task. Okay, what's showing up? I'm just a bit unsure at the moment. Do you know what? I'm sleep starting to get. I'm worried about this. A big decision's coming up. Okay, get your post-it notes out. And on each post-it note, I'm writing one thing. The other rule is we've got to be very specific. Don't just put children, don't just put finance or life. Try and be very specific about what is worrying you. What I find about this, the beautiful thing is, as I go through, people go, "Oh, I'm not sure, Chris. I'm just not sure. I don't know." Okay, so let's start the process. And then they go, "Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on a minute." And it's not unfamiliar to see 30, 40 different post-it notes splayed out all over the table. And then if you've never done it before, apologies, some of you may have done it in your leadership training about 50,000 times. But all we want to do then is we want this outer circle, things that I've got no control over. The inner circle, these are things that I can influence. And then inside that beautiful circle, the one in the middle, that is what I can control. And again, I'm not going to talk through the theory of it. It's very well established in the corporate space. I use it to clear my mind. Okay, so what is actually happening? What am I worried about? I'm spending all this energy on stuff I've got no control over. Okay, where does the influence piece come in? All right, I need to have that conversation with Renata. I need to go and sort this out with Matteo. Okay, wonderful. And then what is in the middle? The piece that we can control. That's where I need to focus. What we do is we use this as a trigger, if you like, to go, okay, yeah, I'm wasting all this energy. It reframes the mind into, okay, I need to keep here rather than all the way out here. Because as I start to go through these things like what's happening with the weather and what's happening with the markets and what's happening, I tend to add that on top of my daily anxiety. So an oldie but a goodie. Does anyone still use this, by the way? Covey circles. Adele, I think I can see you nodding. Yeah. I honestly believe that you could do this once you get your flow going, do this in about 10 to 15 minutes. Some people have a cup of tea and sit down and spend a good hour on it. Here's the piece. However you decide to do it, use it as a visual cue. So sometimes we have a flip chart with the post-it notes all over it. And when I feel those feelings come back and the reasons why, I actually just retarget myself back to my visual cue, which might be my board. It's a prompt. Whew, okay, what's going on? Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, I can see what I'm doing here. I'm starting to slip out to the outer circles. I need to focus, come back in and keep clean and keep clear in my mind. Again, if you've never done it, Covey circles, pick a book, any book you like. If you do know it, great, because it'll be a muscle memory piece. But for us, today's conversation, it's a quick fire. Get them out, get them out. Be very specific. What's going on? What's going on? Don't judge it as they come out. Judge it when we go to the sorting phase of that task. Okay, Adele, I know, but does anyone else use this? No. Okay, some no. All right. You just need post-it notes. You need somewhere to put those post-it notes. You want to get them out and then sort them into uncontrollable, influence, and controllable. I won't give you a spoiler alert what's going to go in the middle. You can find that one out for yourself. Very easy and quick, and can go from, you know, the uncertainty piece. Okay, what's coming in for me here? What can I control? How do I stop those feelings? The other part, another task, again, you don't have to do all these. It's a worst case scenario task, which is why I said to Renata, we haven't discussed this, have we? Because you were talking about, like, I always go into the worst case scenario. Yeah, great. So the word here is catastrophizing. As we go down the little road of uncertainty, and then the anxiety builds, and then we start to exaggerate the impact piece, and then we start to, you know, the impact on our own stresses start to go through the roof. We can then start to do the catastrophizing. Oh my God, what if? And we hear the language that comes out. Yeah, but you don't understand. What if the world was to collapse tomorrow? And it's like, whoa, okay. Let's bring you back a few steps. Let's just start to bring this in. What is the worst case scenario? What happens if? And the initial conversation will be, well, someone might do this, or the business will close, or okay, let's start to come back a few steps. Realistically, what's showing up for us, and what's the worst thing that can happen if that were to happen? How would we navigate that? What you can imagine here is that we've got these future-paced thoughts. We're very uncertain about whether they will or they won't. What we want to be able to do is to play out those thoughts with your logical brain. Start to just take a bit of control over them. Okay, so what if? So what can you do about that? Stick them in Covey circles. Can you influence that? Have you got control over that? And we start to then reassure ourselves, oh, okay, yep. I've played this out in coaching so many times where the initial anxiety is up here, the breath is up here in the top of the chest, and the words that come out are this worst case scenario. And then we play it back. We sort of ease them down and we walk through it. And in the end, people sit in that space going, okay, yeah, I was being a bit silly. I get it. But in that moment, it was real. So we're not laughing at it. It was very real for them. So just think about that, the worst case scenario. It's a beautiful piece where you can have a conversation with someone, or you can play it out in your own mind. It's entirely up to you how you operate. Has anyone worked through this task? Worst case scenarios.
I do that every single day, Chris. And I wanted to jump in before, but I think it's great that I didn't, because you know, every single time I was attached to, sorry, my dog is going crazy. Every single time I was attached to the result, I was attached to the outcome, I was worried about the what if. Every single time the worry that I had actually happened. And actually it was okay. I actually ended up with, you know, landing on my feet.
Yeah.
I didn't die. I didn't, it wasn't a catastrophe.
Yeah.
Every single time. So every time I had this worry, I have this attachment, I inevitably had to learn to let it go. Just disattach yourself. Because as long as you're doing everything you can to do your best.
Yeah.
And control what you can.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
I love it, Matteo. Adele, I heard you jump in there, you as well. So
yeah, I'm the same as Matteo. A lot of things I go, what's the worst thing can happen? Can I live with that? Okay, go for it.
Yeah, just jump in. Okay, so if for us there's three questions, and I'm conscious of time. I love these conversations. I could talk all morning, but we can't. So there's three questions I'm going to ask you to write down. Okay, what is the evidence? And not in our brain, but what do we actually know? What is real, concrete, real world evidence? What is the most likely outcome? And this logical part is about, all right, the worst case is this, but what logically is what's the outcome going to be? Let's be realistic about this. What do we know from previous experience? Or where can we Where can we find that real world experience? The last one is, if the worst did happen, can I cope? They're your 3 questions to yourself. What is the evidence? Real world evidence, not in your brain only. Where can you find the evidence?
Sorry, it's Lucinda.
Hi,
Yeah,
Lucinda.
I just wanted to add, yes, I do that too, but I will always write down a plan. Okay, so if the worst thing did happen, what would I do?
Yeah.
I would, contact this person. I would, whatever. So, yeah, thank you.
No, it's perfect. So the plan, I mean, the plan is great because when we sit in that moment and plan, we're not in the anxious state that can things like, I'm going to phone my friend and they'll reinforce my anxiety, or I'm going to drink alcohol because that's avoidance or distraction. Yeah. So that plan in that logical brain allows us to follow that formulative state. Yeah. Okay. So step 1, step 2, I know what to do. You're creating certainty in your own brain.
Yes.
I love it. All right. Okay, so there it is. Topic number 7 was about navigating uncertainty. We know we're not alone here, and that our insatiable need to be able to control our environment is actually deep within our old brain. And what tends to happen is that we can either future pace and overthink, or ruminate and worry about what shoulda, coulda, woulda happened. And then when we sit in that state, there is a need to control. The 2 tasks that I've given you, there's many more, but the 2 tasks I've given you are quick. We can pick up and run with them very quickly. And we need to be able to do that when we catch ourselves getting into that mindset, that uncertain mindset. Okay. The second one then, overcoming procrastination. All right. Never do tomorrow what you could do today. Procrastination is the thief of time. Thank you, Mr. Dickens. And of course, time is our most valuable resource, our most valuable asset. We don't get long on the planet. Why? When we talk about procrastination, most humans would talk about avoiding a task. I'm avoiding doing this job, or I'm avoiding doing this thing. I'm going to reframe that for all of us. What you're actually doing through procrastination is avoiding a feeling. That's a different position. So when it comes to avoidance, pushing out, doing something like playing games, or I don't know what, going on YouTube, because social media is a great distraction. What your brain is actually doing is avoiding the pain or that feeling that's associated with doing it. Procrastination can come into things because the task is too hard. The task is too big because we look at the whole picture rather than incremental steps. I'm too tired because we've got an accumulative feeling going on. Oh God, what I need to do, I'm going to take a rest. I'm going to give myself some time back. And then we are avoiding the feeling of doing. We're avoiding allocating more resources to a job when we already feel tired. If it's too boring, oh God, I hate admin. They're the words that come out of my mouth, by the way. Hate admin, hate doing the small stuff. Or for some of us, we avoid doing the work because of our perfectionism. That's a feeling that we try and avoid. We procrastinate because the immediate emotional relief is much greater than the long-term emotions associated with that task. I'm going to give myself short-term relief now rather than what I imagine how I'll feel when I do the task. So procrastination can come up in many different forms of avoiding the feeling of doing something. Is it boring? Is it tedious? Is it too long? Is it too hard? I don't feel like I know enough to be able to complete it. These are all discomforts that we start to come into play. Okay, time's flying. Oh my days. Who amongst us are the procrastinators, and why? How do we procrastinate? Not why. How do we procrastinate?
Sleeping in.
What did you say there?
Sleeping in.
Sleeping in. Yeah, don't worry about that. Not going to get up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't worry, nobody cares. Just half an hour more.
Yeah, that's right. Any
Cleaning.
I think for me, I find something else to do. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
might still be something. It's not like surfing social media, but I'll go and do, I don't know, cleaning or something else, because it feels like, oh, I'm still doing something productive. But
Yes.
it's definitely procrastinating.
Yes, I am still, like, to your point, Adele, I'm still moving forward. I still got this little tick box of things that I need to do. Yeah. The cleaning never goes away. Lucinda, you said the same thing, right? Cleaning?
Cleaning. Always. If I have to study, the house is the cleanest it's ever been.
There's a really good example, right, of cleaning's a never-ending to-do list. And it's something that we can just potter around with, and it feels great. I can see it straight away. I want to put into context long-term study, short-term pleasure of cleaning.
Yes.
To your example, I can polish that surface, look at it and go, wow, what a great surface. And again, sorry, Lucinda.
Oh, no, I was just going to say ridiculous cleaning, like drawers and getting a toothbrush out and doing the little bits.
The corners.
That feeling, Lucinda.
The corners,
yeah,
exactly.
Get the corner. I really should hoover those curtains now.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah, exactly right. So procrastination does come in when we are avoiding the feeling of doing the task. Now I'm going to lay that into the room because we've only got a few minutes left. Just think about what you avoid. We are very aware of it. We know we do it. Typically, it's these things. And in my world, I talk about a no notification lifestyle, and I block everything. I allocate time. And that comes in with precision, and that comes in with understanding why we do it. All I'll say to you is when we look at tasks, we look at big picture thinking. I would break it down into 2-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute activities. Rather than I need to write the report, what you might do is say things like, I'm going to write the summary. It's just a little trick, because once we get into the flow of doing something, I've written the summary, go, how while I'm here, I might just write the introduction. I'm already here. And then we trick the brain. So before we do the event, it's big picture. God, there's 1,000 things I could do instead of doing this boring thing or hard thing. And so we tend to avoid, push out, and distract. The task for you here is to break it down into small incrementals of 2-minute, 5-minute, 10 minutes, and then break it down into, I'm going to complete the subject line. I don't know. I'm going to complete the summary. I'm just going to gather the resources, not even start it yet. And then we can then commit to the task. Okay, so we've got two things. We've got this uncertainty, controlling that environment, procrastination. We could play and dance in this space for a lot longer. I've got a few different tasks that I could share with you, but we are going to run out of time. So the last one for me, the topic, we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. I think what I might do here is just write a little piece inside the Reconnect community, Renata, if that's okay. Yep. And the reason why I've put imposter syndrome in here today is that will typically link into perfectionism. It will link into uncertainty. It will link in our ability to understand our own position about, am I good enough for this? Working with a brilliant young man who had a really toxic experience, excellent young man, gets accolades for his work, but is now asking big questions of himself because of the experience he's had. He's been knocked down, his self-belief, his self-efficacy, and he starts to ask big questions like, can I really do this? Is this the right industry for me anymore? We start to see all of the uncertainty creep in. Then he avoids doing the task that he knows he's supposed to do. So procrastination creeps in, and then he justifies it because he's trying to avoid the feelings. So for us today, go into your workplace or sit with your cups of tea and coffee or whatever they are, but just consider this. Where is uncertainty showing up for me? When is it showing up? What environment is it showing up? And then start to do your little post-it notes or your worst case scenarios. When it comes to procrastination, what are you avoiding? And break it down into much smaller. Clean and polish the table. Don't clean the whole house. Gather the study resources. Don't try and learn the whole subject. What it does, the brain will naturally go, we can do that. And then when you're in the moment, the brain will go, actually, we're doing all right here. Let's just do a little bit more and a little bit more. And before we know it, we're doing really well. Okay, Renata, I'm going to have to hand back to you. That is time, unfortunately.
I know this is a big topic. We can be here for hours, actually. Chris, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I think we got some very practical tools for the uncertainty ones, and also for the procrastination component. But most importantly, we have each other here to support and share. I think again goes back into the purpose of having a group of people that we can, support each other into this process. I think the not feeling alone is so important, right? And having who to share that is not judging you, because at the end of the day, if we are here, is because we are all in the same, being in this group, we are all in the same mind length here, and we all want to move forward. So, asking for help, I think also is a big one. The other big one is that Chris is amongst our community, and if you want help directly from him, just reach out to him, because he has an amazing program, the Performance Acceleration, which we worked before this last session here. Is it almost weird to say that this is the last session of the year? But if you think we are just 40 days from Christmas, it's just how time moves fast, right?
Yeah.
So Chris, thank you so much for being here. Everyone as well to sticking to this session today. I'm sure that the ones that couldn't make it are going to watch this, because this is really powerful. Just to wrap it up, I just wanted to suggest two other people. Chris, you probably know these two authors. One is Ellen Langer. I don't know if you heard about this woman before. Ellen Langer, she's known as the mother of mindfulness and the mother of positive psychology. And she talks about choices, doing hard choices. There is a video, Fabrice, for your benefit, that I actually have saved on my Instagram thing, that you can save videos of her. And I always go back to it. And I'm just quote this one, and then we wrap it up and get on our Fridays, which she says, we always have two choices, right? So she makes the example, I'm going to study in Harvard, or I'm going studying Yale, right? The other university. And then you pick Harvard, and then things doesn't work well. And then you assume that by having the other choice, things would run better. But you don't know. you didn't go there. And the thing is, if after doing Harvard, you decide to do Yale, you're already different, because you learn a lot in Harvard. So then maybe Yale do well for you because of the Harvard experience, right? So this is a tricky one. You're never going to know if A or B was better or worse unless you try. And as humans where we are, we don't have available how do you call it, a crystal ball to predict, okay, this is okay, let me try this is how pistachio tastes, this is how chocolate tastes, this is when we go to an ice cream place, we have the opportunity to try the flavors and then choose. But in general, for big decisions, this is not available, so you have to go with chocolate, and off we go. Anyway, I'm gonna post her video there for you to watch. It's actually very powerful. And yes, just to wrap things up. Chris, again, thank you so much. Everybody, if you like this session, don't forget, refer this to someone, bring somebody in next time, say it's 1 hour here with us, that, we discuss a topic. The purpose of this is for us to, interact and have these discussions, and for you to start your Friday or wrap up your Friday in a different note, right? And doing decisions from here forward that, excites you after having this conversation with us. So thank you so much for being here. Again, next week, I said I was going to wrap it up. I think this is going to become my quote. Like Renata said, is wrapping up. There is like 10 more things she's going to say. Next week we are coming live again, same time, same location, same everything. And then we are going to talk about purpose, which is a big topic as well, because we usually end the year and we want to do our purpose list, like what we're going to do next year, right? We don't need to wait that long, but we're going to bring Sabine to discuss with us your unique value proposition, so where you can lead to. Thank you so much for being here. Have a fantastic day.